Well, let's talk about that hot opening. We had the Raw Women's Championship defended, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, WrestleMania rematch. Another really good match from these two ladies. I would not put it on the same level as the WrestleMania match. I still think that was the best match these two have had since SummerSlam last year. But this was still a great match, probably the second best match they've had. They had a match at Extreme Rules last year. They had the match on Raw that you were there for that was also really, really good for the Raw Women's Championship that Becky, where she won via nefarious means. This was great stuff. That finish was great with the C4 or whatever it is, the Spanish Fly, and then Bianca immediately hitting that with a clean-looking KOD for the victory. It looked even better on TV. I watched the clip on Twitter a few days ago. It looked amazing. So that was great. And not only was that a great opener, we immediately, right after that, had the return of Bayley, who we have not seen on WWE TV since July of 2021. This was Bayley's first match, our first appearance back with fans in attendance. The last time we saw her on the show, there were no fans, and it was right before the Thunderdome era was about to end. So I'm sure she loved that, hearing that reaction. That alone would have been cool. We were looking at each other like, oh, really cool to see Bayley back. Like, we kind of expected it. We talked about it on the show. A lot of people presumed that would be the case. What we did not expect was Dakota Kai coming out next, who we have not seen on WWE TV since before she was released from NXT a few months ago. She was canned back in April. There was no word on what was next for her, and did not look like she'd be brought back to WWE. Why would she? I mean, she's been in developmental hell for like 5 years now. Why would she be called up? And then Triple H takes over, and she gets called up as she should have been a long time ago. Same with Io Shirai, who we were also discussing right before the show amongst ourselves. Will she resign now that Triple H is back? Blah, blah, blah. I did not think they would act that quickly, but they did. Dakota Kai called it a last-minute thing. I don't know how far back Io Shirai's discussions as far as re-signing go. I honestly believe that the sole reason why she re-signed was because of Triple H being in charge of the main roster now, and that's why she's on the main roster. Vince not wanting anything to do with Io Shirai on the main roster, to me, is completely laughable, but she is on Raw now, and we have the trio of Bayley, and I say Io Shirai, her new name is Io Sky. Changing names is usually never ideal, but, you know, it works, and it's closely similar, so I really can't complain too much. And Dakota Kai as well, so what a way to kick off the show. And Becky Lynch turning face, aligning with Bianca against the new heel trio. And we had the follow-up on Raw that we'll talk about after the SummerSlam review. But you talk about a hot opening, Mr. Marceau. This really sent a message to me in one fell swoop how you really can change the complexion of a Raw women's division with all these booking decisions that were made with this one, like, first 20 minutes of the show.
No, I think, yeah, I mean, I think the match itself was really good. Like you said, I think the WrestleMania match was probably, I would say, was better. But, I mean, this was still a great match regardless. I think these two have great chemistry. All their matches have been good. The WrestleMania one was better, but I think it was a perfect way to start the show. Like you said, Bayley coming back. Like, yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we talked about it like a couple hours before, and we recorded the show last week that we thought that, I mean, there was a good chance we'd see Bayley that night. So, like, yeah, she came out. We're like, okay, it's pretty cool. Like, Bayley's back. Yep, nice, whatever. And then when Dakota's music hit, the place went bananas. Like, I mean, none of us saw that coming, obviously. And then with Io, I mean, me, you, and Rick were literally talking about, like, oh, her contract's up either today or tomorrow. And then, boom, she's back, and she's in the main roster now. And like you said, they have Becky come back, turn face, and we get that nice stare-off, and it leads into Monday. But, yeah, I mean, I think Raw had a good women's division anyways. I mean, adding those women definitely helped to it as well, but, I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, I think SmackDown, like, they do have a lot of up-and-coming women, but they really don't have too many, like, established women. Raw definitely does. Like, for how much we shit on, like, Carmella and, like, Zelina Vega, like, they're all good hands in the ring, and they're, like, established. SmackDown, they have, like, all the younger NXT girls that really haven't got their footing yet on their main roster. So, them going to Raw, maybe we'll see someone else established people going to SmackDown, because I feel like they could use more bigger names. So Ronda now out, technically suspended, and I mean Charlotte should be coming back anytime now too. So I think it was a good get for Raw, especially what happened on Monday night as well. But I mean, to kind of like start the show or make a statement, it was the perfect way to kind of do that.
I think the key word is depth. I mean, they really added a lot of depth to those three women. Like you said, the division wasn't complete garbage before. They're just, I think the biggest issue with the Raw Women's division prior to SummerSlam, there really was not a lot going on beyond the main championship picture. I mean, to the point where we had Carmella in the title picture for much longer than she probably should have been. And all credit to Carmella for playing her role well, but she should not be in that Raw Women's Championship picture when you have Asuka really not doing much, Alexa Bliss, moreover than anyone, not really doing much, and a few other women that they clearly have no idea what to do with. So they really needed that depth. They needed the heels. Becky Lynch, too. And I really like that Triple H, reportedly, this was his call to turn her face. And I do think the heel turn ended up working out for the best. She had great character work. And I mentioned to you on Saturday night, I wish, she would ditch the dumb outfits, and you said that was the point, and I agree, that was the point of whole heel Becky Lynch. I prefer, personally, babyface Becky. She's just naturally likable, and I think the biggest issue with the run, although it was a success, because it served the purpose in getting Bianca more over than she was previously, and they succeeded at doing that with the long feud and paying it off at WrestleMania, and I think her storyline arc since Mania with her kind of crumbling down, losing a lot of matches, was honestly, shit on Vince all you want, but I thought it was perfectly executed with what they've done with Becky since WrestleMania, and really even before Mania as well as champion. But the biggest problem with that run was the fact that she would cut promos saying, oh, you people turned on me. You people are the worst. Like, you don't believe in me. And then all the while, those promos were getting droned out by cheers for Becky Lynch. Like, that's what happened when she turned heel, 4 years ago at SummerSlam? And it really is amazing. She turned heel at SummerSlam back in 2018. She turned heel again at SummerSlam last year, and then babyface this year. So SummerSlam really is the man show, and we are getting the man again, as she indicated on Monday's Raw. So I think it's a very exciting time right now for the Raw Women's division, and moreover than anything, going back to my original point, it gives them something to do. Not only is it Bianca versus ex-challenger, now it's Bianca versus Bayley. It's Bianca versus Dakota. It's Bianca versus Io Sky, which we got on Monday's Raw, and you throw Alexa Bliss into the mix, give her something meaningful to do for a change. Asuka has something going on finally. Becky's out for the foreseeable future with an injury. She should be back around November. Put her in a War Games match. I mean, could you see that being the culmination of what they're doing right now with the Raw Women's division, being some sort of a War Games match in November? Because I feel like that's a Triple H idea, and it would work perfectly on a show like Survivor Series.
No, definitely, yeah. I think, like you said, with the depth and everything, I mean, Becky going babyface, like I said, even in 2018 when she turned heel at SummerSlam, like, even though she did turn heel, like, a couple months later, she was already a babyface, basically. The fans, like, basically made her a babyface. Like, you turn heel on Charlotte Flair, you're not really turning heel. I mean, if anything, you're turning big.
Yeah.
But I think going back to being a babyface, like you said, even when she was saying in those promos, like, you turn on and people are still cheering for her. I mean, she's always been a better babyface than heel, and I think it did what it needed to do to get Bianca over as a star, because I think she's at that level now. Like, she's at, like, 4 horsewomen level now, and which, I mean, good to her. I mean, she's done amazing work as well, but Becky going to be out for a little bit, which I think is a good thing. I mean, how can we miss you if you don't go away? I mean, she's been back for a full year. Now she's going to go babyface, and she'll be gone for a little bit. And, I mean, that pop when she gets back will be even bigger now. So hopefully she can rest up and get back, like I said, hopefully November time. I mean, with the women they have and the way it's setting up, I could see something like a War Games or a match in that kind of ilk for all these women, putting them in one big match.
Yeah, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket thinking that's what they're going to do, but I think it'd be really cool. Don't want to set my hopes up too high thinking, that it's going to happen and then it doesn't. But I do think it would be a perfect way to kind of further the feud, culminate the feud. Becky only has a separated shoulder. Rick called that immediately. I didn't really pick up on that. I saw that her shoulder was red, but he picked up on that as soon as the match was over, saying that she was hurt. And sure enough, it was confirmed the next day that she was. So a separated shoulder is not the worst injury. She should be back relatively soon. I say foreseeable future, but, maybe by October, early November, maybe as early as late next month. We'll see. It's not too far off, which is good. But they have women in her absence to really fill that gap, and Rhea Ripley's still there as well, and we kind of forgot about her, but she's with the Judgment Day stuff right now, so there's a lot of, Sasha Banks and Naomi as well. That's another thing. Let's mention that real quick as far as the women's division is concerned. Reportedly, they might be on their way back to the company. We mentioned that the other day, I think, while we were walking out of the hotel or something. I think someone asked me about that. I don't know if it was you or if it was Rick or someone else. They were like, oh, they have their conventions coming up. And I'm thinking, what if they just agree to allow them to do that appearance in Chicago, but they're just signed back to the company? That would not shock me at all. When they re-sign people to the company and they have like indie dates set up, sometimes they allow them usually to fulfill those indie dates before or while they're with the company. So, I could certainly see that. But kind of on the note of this division and the Raw Women's division, I don't think if Sasha and Naomi come back, they're going to Raw. I don't think they should. SmackDown, I think, needs them more. That's where they were before they walked out. But kind of going off that report, do you think Sasha and Naomi are on their way back to WWE, and do you want to see them back in WWE?
Yeah, I mean, from the reports I've seen, they seem like credible reports. I mean, seemingly, I think we could possibly see them as early as tomorrow night. So, I mean, with Triple H coming in back, I feel like there's, like, obviously Sasha's a Triple H girl. Like, I mean, she grew up through WWE, through NXT, through Triple H. So, I mean, what they saw, if anything is what we on Saturdays, anything how the women are going to be treated, and I feel like Raw they were highlighted as well. I mean, I think SmackDown could definitely use them back, and they could add some more blood to that. Like you said, more depth. I mean, they can still build up the other girls coming up, but those, like, pioneers or veterans definitely, like, can make up for the greenness.
For sure. And hopefully at some point we get to see them back on TV. Like you said, it could be as early as tomorrow night on SmackDown. I hope so. It might be a little bit longer for them to work things out, but I mean, it's definitely more of a possibility now than it was when Vince was in charge. It really is amazing how much has already changed with Vince gone. But, I mean, Triple H was the same guy who brought back Bruno many years ago and brought back Ultimate Warrior, among others. So I can't say I'm too shocked, but the fact he's working this quickly is quite amazing. So it's already turning out to be a major positive.